You're the Welcome to Luton man.
Wow! It's the London Palladium.
Mr. Living Through.
Hello. Hi.
So you're University. That's a first.
Say it to them,
Have you ever heard of the jazz?
Right, here we go.
These simple rhymes be good for your health. To keep them trying around on the show.
Yeah, thanks, man.
The most viewed news story on the entirety of the BBC.
Passengers flying into Gatwick, but what a shock.
I ran for London Mayor.
Here we are.
Max Fosh, 6,309.
A group of people standing in the middle of the road, cows waiting to cross. Je suis quite pissed.
With Oreo.
Virgin Media, Marvel,
BMW
at the Miami Grand Prix.
I was in the 6th 11.
See that on, safety does not take a day
It was an experience.
It was fun.
You're really talented, and I think it's such a waste. So, what's happening?
What's happening?
I don't know my fruit.
Silly storytelling is probably the best way to contextualise what I do.
One of those is prison one. It was all a ruse. Yeah.
Well, that unlimited money limited.
You want a napkin? No, okay, you're good.
Thank you. Shall I go this side? Here we go.
Hello. Let's give it up for Max Fosh.
Yeah, hello. Wow, this is terribly formal. Look at this. I'm very serious.
I have to be honest, Max. I'm a little bit nervous that we're going to be pranked.
No pranks here, unfortunately. Or fortunately, actually, probably I should say. But no, nothing untoward today, Genevieve. I'd never.
Okay, looking at that sizzle reel, how did you start? Did you go to university? We've heard this morning about the future of jobs, and when you think about content creation and entrepreneurship, is university even worth it anymore? You went to university. Can you tell us how you got into?
Yes, I was at Newcastle University, and I was there for 4 years, and I studied English, so nothing to do with what I do now. But what I did do at university is I tried loads of different things. I was part of the Theatre Society, I was part of the cricket team, and the most integral thing that what ended up being my job was I did student radio, which then went to hospital radio. Now, if you're not aware of hospital radio, it's kind of local radio that people do for patients who are in the local hospital. There was a rather dodgy moment when I nearly got fired from hospital radio because I played the song Highway to Hell on The Breakfast Show. Genuinely complete misunderstanding. I thought it was just a great song. I did get told off. And so I thought I was going to go into radio. And I had a few auditions at the BBC Radio Newcastle offices, which is regional radio in the Northeast. And as you can imagine, this accent didn't get very far when it came to regional radio in the Northeast. So I didn't get the job, and I then kind of thought, well, hold on, let me see if I can make some videos. And at this point, this was 2017, and I just went out. I was in Newcastle, big party town, and I just stood there with a microphone and a camera and interviewed students on nights out, and initially put the videos up on Facebook. So there was no desire for me at all to become a YouTuber or to go into content creation or be a YouTuber. It just, over the course of many, many years, kind of formulated this meandering path that ended up with where I am today.
So content creation now, we're all quite used to it. We see it everywhere, but you graduated in 2016. The first video was
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
You were kind of ahead of the curve when you told your parents, when they said, what you're going to do after university. Did everyone think you were crazy?
Yeah, I didn't really have a very good answer whenever that question was asked. And actually, talking about the head of the curve, at the time, there were already huge YouTubers. YouTube was a very established platform. And at the time in 2016, 2017, when I was starting, I also thought, oh, there's no way that I can go into this because it's already so saturated. And I'm sure people will have the same concepts and ideas about it now, but there is always space for new people to come through, I guarantee it. And so just because content creation now might feel so oversaturated, it definitely doesn't mean that you can't start, because you can.
So your first video was interviewing basically drunk university students on a
Yes.
night out. But some of your videos now, like the Welcome to Luton video, I
Yes.
don't know who's seen that.
Yes. Got in a lot of trouble for that.
One that got 18 million views. The one that got 7.4 million views was I paid 2 private investigators to follow each other.
Yes. Just kind of a Spider-Man meme situation going on there. I do actually, I've got a follow-up to that video right now. So on the 1st of January, I hired a private investigator to follow me for a year. So on random days over the next 365 days, a PI's job is to find out as much as they can about me. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know whether it's a male or a female. But
They could be here.
They could be here, genuinely. I'm looking around and be like, if you see someone with telescopic glasses on, please do let me know. But on the 31st of December, we're going to be sitting down in a room, and the person who's been following me for the year is going to walk in, and I am going to, meet them for the first time. Hopefully, I recognise them. So yes, private investigators have been a very fertile soil for me when it comes to video ideas.
Your videos are funny, and when we think of pranks, we don't tend to think of organisation. But when I looked at your videos, I thought, they're actually like highly like crafted, clever things. So for young people looking into doing content creation, like, do you have a team? Who edits the videos? Who helps you film it? How do you come up? You said doing an English degree has no relation to content creation, but I don't know, narrative, storytelling, like how do people make videos like you?
So I started out making videos that I wanted to watch. That was like the most important part for me, because the only thing that you can control is what you make and whether you enjoy the content. And even now, if I'm watching back a video that we've made in the office and I'm really laughing and I'm enjoying it, even though I've watched it multiple times, then I know that it's going to be a strong video. But I started directing, writing, editing all myself, and I did that for 3 years before I hired my first person. And so a lot of the videos, some of my most successful videos I've ever made were made with no money whatsoever. I made a video where I technically became the richest man in the world for 7 minutes because I realized that if I started a company and registered it with Companies House that I called Unlimited Money Limited, and then I generated the maximum amount of shares you can, which was 10 billion shares, and I sold 1 share for £50, that would technically make me the richest man in the world, which Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs did agree, but they also said, yes, that's also fraud. So I did have to shut it down. But that video, that cost me no money, and it's still to date one of my most successful. And so when I was starting out, I looked at a lot of what has happened what has worked in the past. And just made it, relatively new. There was a guy in the 1900s called Horace de Vere Cole, who was kind of known as one of the first ever pranksters in the UK. And he used to hire bald men and get them to sit in the theatre in London, like sit in a row, all 4 of them. And he'd write rude things on their head, but 1 letter at a time. So you would suddenly look down and just see the right word, cock written on someone's head. And anyway, this was kind of a guy who was quite famous in the 1900s. I thought that was really funny. And so I just did it again in the 21st century. So I'm a lot of the times rehashing old ideas that have worked in the past and just kind of giving them a nice, neat, new package. And actually, to give you one last example of that is, I told you about the time where I wanted to get into radio, and the big pinnacle for me there was Radio 1. And I thought, how do I get a job at Radio 1? And I remember in the 2008 financial crisis, a guy called Sam spent his last money on a billboard that said basically just hiresam.com. And he got a lot of press. People were very interested. It was a great story. It was a real heartfelt story. He ended up getting a job off the back of it. And I saw that, I remember seeing that bit of news, and I thought, surely that would work today. So I just turned it around with Radio 1, and I got my car, and I printed my CV on the roof of my car, and parked it outside of Radio 1, and waited there for an entire day. Eventually, the head of Radio 1 came down and said, yes, very funny, but can you please move? And 2 years later, I got a show on Radio 1 for, a day. So that was, oh, thank you. I mean, the fact that I got 1 show and haven't been invited back suggests that there is a reason why I only had 1 show. But that was just something that I saw, okay, that's a fun way of doing things. It's worked in the past. It's feel good. How can I turn that into something for the, 2021, whenever it was?
Okay, so your first few videos or first few years, you're directing and editing and doing everything yourself. Then you mentioned hiring a team. First of all, what does that team look like?
Yeah.
Do you have offices? And also, I guess the interesting thing there is going from doing it all yourself to having money to hire people. So a big question I don't know the answer to is really, how do you make money out of content creation?
Yeah. So the first question about how do you make money out of content creation, it is exactly the same as the way that television makes money, radio makes money. You are using eyeballs that you have to, you know, have advertising put in front of it. So with YouTube, there's 3 ways that we can make money, main ways. Number 1 are the adverts that play before a YouTube video. So the Google makes those deals and you get paid per 1,000 views. Now, you normally get paid about £4 or £5 per 1,000 views. So if you get 1 million views, you'll get about £4,000 or £5,000. So that's number 1. Number 2 is then I can broker my own deals within the videos, which is like sometimes you'll watch content and they're like, this video has been sponsored by Shopify. And that's because I have directly spoken to Shopify and they will give me amount of money to talk about their product for 60 seconds. And then the third way is just leveraging the audience for live shows. So you kind of saw in the clip there that I've done 2 stand-up tours, and that is a way that kind of generates income as well. But the first person that I hired was a brilliant man called Aziz, who still works for me now. He's kind of my head of content, and he was my first editor because I kind of realized what are the areas that I feel most overwhelmed with, and it was the constant editing that I really kind of was having a lot of issues with. So I brought him on, and then he was great. He filled that gap, and then a few years later, I was like, I need some help with production. So I hired a producer called Molly, and that's been always the way that I've hired people has been what is the biggest issue that I have, and how can I bring someone in to solve that issue.
You mentioned editing, and as you know, Instagram users will know it's often like the first 3 seconds of a video that will hold your audience's attention. How do you go about deciding what, like, obviously you can look at the number of views, but like what makes a video go viral versus one that doesn't? Like, how do you work that out?
It's a good question, and I think that we often talk in, you know, the industry or the entertainment industry about the algorithm, this scary thing, the algorithm. It's this abstract being. And the best way that I like to contextualize it is if you change the word algorithm for people, it completely changes your perspective, because these companies, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Meta, whatever, they want you to spend as much time on their platforms as possible. So they will serve an audience a bit of a video, and if they see someone has watched to the end, they can make a good guess that that is a video that people have liked and enjoyed, so therefore they'll show it, the algorithm will show it to more people who will then like it, and more people and more people. So I think that if you make a good bit of content, then you will be rewarded for that. Another thing that I really helped me contextualize, you know, how to make something go viral was no one cares about you, right? No one cares about the individual who's made the content. They just want value from that content, whether that is being taught something, whether that's making them laugh, whether that's having a question at the beginning that you're then ending with the end. So the private investigators, I hired 2 private investigators to follow each other. That has an innate question in it, which is, did they find out? What would they say when they found out? So baked into that are a lot of questions. We've got a video at the moment where I'm hiring a Hollywood stuntman to lose to me in a fight because I want to look hard and manly. So the idea there is that, okay, how's the fight gonna look like? Will my friends believe it? So there's lots of the individual questions that you can pose within that first 3 seconds, whether that's in the title or that's in the beginning of your content. I released a short form video yesterday, which was private investigator versus escape room. How would they do in an escape room? That inherently has a question. So the answer to that question is they did the escape room in 25 minutes. I did it in 1 hour and 10 minutes. So gives you a good idea.
What's hard about your job, and have you ever been sued?
Ah, yes, my lawyer, the hardest working man in show business. The hardest thing about my job is making some of the ideas I have in my head come to life. I did a video last year where I wanted to have a hot dog eating competition against a grizzly bear. That was a tough day in the office for my producer, Molly, who then had to source a grizzly bear, which she did do. Tank the bear from Salt Lake City. What a man. What a bear, I should say. And have I been sued? Yes, I did a video where I realized that the London Aquarium had a policy in place where children under the age of 3 go free to the London Aquarium. So I thought, let me try and exploit that. So I made a buggy that had a false bottom so I could get into the buggy. So I got into this buggy, my knees were up to my chest, I wore a little bonnet, I had a dummy in my mouth, and my friend pushed me through the London Aquarium without a ticket. We made the video, we posted it, and we thought, oh, that was very funny, bit of silly, bit of fun. Surely the London Aquarium are gonna think that's hilarious. Their lawyers didn't. So I got an email, a very scary email the next day saying, Max, just to let you know, we find that incredibly offensive and we need you to remove this video immediately. We're going to send you a cease and desist letter. So I send this off to my lawyer and he says, right, Max, what we're going to do, we're going to take the video down. I said, are you kidding me? Absolutely no way. He said, well, they might escalate this and take this to court. I said, well, there is nothing that I want more than to have a court case where I am the defense and they show a picture of me in a buggy with a dummy in my mouth. And my lawyer said, yeah, but it's going to cost quite a lot of money. I was like, I don't care. That would be amazing. It turns out that I called the London Aquarium's bluff and they dropped any legal proceedings against me. But it does mean that I am now not allowed to go into the London Aquarium anymore. So hopefully when I have kids, they don't get too upset about that. But no, I have had a few instances where my lawyer has told me that, no, it's best that you don't make that video.
We've got to close up now, but one last question. If you were in the audience talking to your 17-year-old self,
yes,
thinking about being successful in life from a career perspective, but also from a happiness perspective, what 3 things would you tell yourself?
Number 1, you are at an age now where you can fail. The stakes that you have at the age of 17 are 0, are none. So go out, try as many things. All of them, they won't all work, and that's good, that's important. Number 2 is if you have an idea, create it. Go out into the world and do it. And number 3, social media has allowed us to have access to consumers, to viewers around the world in their millions. You have all of that in your pocket right now. So there is not a better time in the world to be a young person who wants to go out and chase their dreams. So I would highly recommend you do that and try using social media to facilitate that.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking Max.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.